In spite of having a great product or a service, why is it that they're not being able to grow faster? Why is it that they're not being able to grow at a profitable level? While the reasons for the same could be many, but there's one specific reason which stands out amongst everything else, and that is lack of clarity. Lack of clarity in three things. One, who your customer is. Second, what's the problem that you are really solving for that customer? Is it at a functional level or is it also at an emotional level? And the third is, how do you really communicate all of this to the customer? Hi, I am Mayank Sohar, founder of Brand Scale Up Inc. We help brands craft a clear and compelling brand positioning and messaging and help them grow faster in the process. Let's talk about the first issue, which is that who your customer is. Why is there a confusion around it? There could be a confusion around it because it's not necessary that the person who's consuming your product is also your customer. Let's understand this with the help of example of diabetes management. Let's assume there's a 65-year-old woman who has diabetes. Is that woman your customer, or is her son, who's 30-year-old but more concerned about his mother's diabetes than the mother herself, is your customer? You need to be very clear about these differences. Let's understand this further with the example of kids snacks category. In that category, is the kid your target audience or is the parent your target audience? Now, being the father of a son who's 4 years now, I know that the power doesn't lie with me completely. It's not with my son also completely, but it's a mix of both. The child has the best power, but the parent also has some power to decide what product to give to his child. So therefore, you need to address both of them in your communication. So the whole point is that please understand very deeply that who your customer is. It's not necessary that the person who's consuming your product is also your customer. It could be that your customer could be somebody else. Now let's talk about the second issue, which is that what's the problem that you are really solving for your customer? Let's take the example of diabetes management forward to understand this. Now, if you are only solving the problem at a functional level, which is that you are helping people manage their diabetes better, then you are competing against 95% of your category, and therefore the cost of acquiring customer is going to be very high, and therefore your marketing is not going to be profitable. But if you are promising a life better lived, a life fully lived, if you are promising that through the route of diabetes management, you will help people live their life to its fullest, that's the time when you really stand out and you're competing against 5 to 10% of your category, because not many people are going to be talking about the emotional satisfaction that people get from your product or your service. So therefore, it's important to differentiate yourself in the market by focusing not only on the functional product. That's important. The functionality of the product or the service is really important. However, it needs to be layered on with the emotional benefit that the consumer is going to get or the customer is going to get. That's something that one should not ignore. Now let's talk about the third issue, which is that how do you really package all of this information and communicate to the consumers? Now I challenge you, pick up any 5 brands from your category and go to their websites. The story that you will see on those websites is either going to be about the brand or about the founders, not about the customers. And that's where the problem lies. When you do not make the customer the hero of the story, then you make the customer's brain work really hard to figure out that how will your brand help the customer. And that's something that the brain does not really like. It does not like processing information that is hard to process. When you make the customer the hero of the story and your brand is only an enabler which is helping the hero achieve his or her higher order goals, that's the time when you are helping the brain process the information in a very simple manner, and therefore the brain can understand that how will your brand help the customer. And that's when the journey from knowing you till adopting you and coming back to you again and again becomes very, very easy. So these are 3 points that one needs to keep in mind with respect to clarity: who your customer is, what's the problem that you are really solving for that customer, and how do you communicate all of this to the customer. If you like this video, let me know in the comments. Share it with people who you believe can benefit from it or tag them. I will see you next time.